So, hello and welcome. This is Erica Glessing, and you are joining me today on the Erica Glessing Show, where you receive 8 minutes of daily inspiration for light workers and entrepreneurs. And my next guest, she's in a business that's pretty dear to my heart, if anybody knows me. So, she's in wellness, publishing, nutrition, and her big overarching theme is make everything fun. So I'm just joyful to have you here with me today. Welcome, Kathryn Kemp Guylay. Guylay. I got it close.
I know it's a mouthful, but thank you so much, Erica, for having me. And I thought that introduction was lovely. It's not always an easy description to be in the world of wellness and to be in the world of nutrition and to be in the world of publishing. Like, how do those all relate? But I'm actually in my third career. So after getting my MBA, I spent about a decade in management consulting with really large firms and really getting that sort of business background, which I love so much. Then I spent another 10 years as the executive director and founding executive director of a nonprofit. So when you talk about yourself as a heart-centered leader, I love that, and I totally connect with that. And now I'm kind of mirroring the 10 years in nonprofit and the 10 years in business, and becoming this new version of myself where I don't have to feel like I'm in a box. That's why I like that big umbrella, because it allows me to do a lot of different things and never really feel boxed in.
Yeah, I mean, make everything fun gives you a lot of space, doesn't it?
I know. And as much as it drove my website guy, who I've been working with for a long time, crazy, I was happy to finally, because we had our nonprofit. We still do have our nonprofit website. And then I have my publishing website. And then we had the Make Wellness Fund. And I love working in that space. It was just, I was saying to Matt, I was like, please let me get out of this box and let me do all the things that I love to do.
Yeah.
I serve on the board of a local business accelerator / incubator where we help startups and entrepreneurs. And so that is another facet of my business that really wouldn't normally fit under any of those, even 3 categories. So it's nice to have something that allows us to be flexible.
Yeah, like she who will not be defined.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Shouldn't we have a club? The She Who Will Not Be Defined Club.
Oh my gosh, let's go with it. I love it.
Members. So if I'm just kind of building this sort of beautiful empire, what is it that kind of keeps you thinking big? What is it that keeps you kind of like growing the empire? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and it's interesting. I recently had my strengths tested, and I suggest that everybody does this. It's different than the Myers-Briggs. It's different than some of the other personality assessments that you can do. This is your top strengths, because I think a lot of times we get stuck with I've got to overcome this weakness, and I've got to work on this weakness. But the thing is we need to really embrace what we're really good at. One of my top 5 strengths is futuristic. So I actually am always looking towards the horizon, saying, where could this be going? And I'm a big believer in the law of attraction and putting an intention out there. And a fun exercise, if you have friends that are on board with this idea, is to have a 5 years from now party where you all show up and you're like, look I'm on the cover of this magazine, or here's my book, or here's my 7th book, or whatever it is that you think might be really fun to be working for. Or maybe it's something personal. Maybe it's your health, or maybe it's your relationships. But you step into that already and you feel in a multisensory way that you're already there. And I got this idea actually from Jack Canfield. And I just think it's such a powerful thing that we can all do.
I've actually done that on classes where I've had them all pop on a telecall and then introduce themselves as they in their like 5 year in their kind of dream lifestyle. I've actually had people like introduce themselves as that, and it's a great exercise, and I love that it gets you kind of imagining and creating. And let me ask you a little bit with your books. Tell us a little bit about your books, and you said you're on your 6th. Is that the book where you are in your books?
It's amazing. My first book was actually published in 2015. It's called Mountain Mantras: Wellness and Life Lessons from the Slopes. And it is sort of a memoir, but instructional and inspirational memoir that talks about our family's journey from the Midwest to this teeny tiny little mountain town that we live in called Sun Valley, Idaho. And I bring in all of this experience in my nonprofit work and my work in management consulting, working for, the Fortune 500 companies that I work with. And I sort of tied it all together. And that really did a lot of different things for me and launched my career in lots of ways. But it also gave me that writer's bug and how having a book can be such an incredible platform for your journey as an individual. Those listening that have messages that they want to share, they want to change the world for the better. I saw a book as being a wonderful way to do that. So my next 3 books were kids' books because
I just want to pause and tell everybody I did not pay her to say that.
Well, I mean, I know it's what you're doing. You're helping people to do that, but
Well, I just think like when you're expressing yourself and when your work generates creativity in others, like to me, there's something so beautiful about that. That's like a beyond. It's like a beyond when you're creating something and then that generates someone else stopping and then writing and then creating, and then that causes someone else to stop and pause and create and generate. It's like, whew, like that to me, like that's the psychic pay we get,
I love that. And it's really worth the listeners taking some time to contemplate that. Like, what is the message that I want to share with the world, and who do I want to share it with, and how do I want to help them? And there are lots of ways to share messages today, but you don't just have to do one. Like there are podcasts, there's text, there's audio, video, but books remain something that to so many people, myself included, I know you as well, Erica, there's just this wonderful value in this thing that you can hold in your hands, and lives are changed from books. And so we
And
need to
everyone's going to have to go over to makeeverythingfun.com and play with my guests. But I did want you to also share a little bit about your podcast, because I really think my podcast listeners are very loyal and they like to listen to more than one podcast. So why don't you just give us a little insight as well into your podcast, and then we'll wish it was a 30-minute interview instead of 8.
I know how time flies, so I'll quickly say my Mountain Mantras, Wellness, and Life Lessons podcast is available on iTunes, and it's really about how we can, everything from how we feed ourselves and move our bodies into how we think. That's really what that podcast is all about. But for your listeners, Positive on Publishing is a podcast just for aspiring authors and authors that might be newer to the trade. For example, I just interviewed Madeline Sklar, who is the #1 influencer in Houston and, is just a Twitter rock star. And she walked me through and listeners through a really great recipe for how to make social media work for an author. So I really, like you, just enjoy learning on the journey, and podcasting has been a really key ingredient to that journey.
It's so much fun to just check with you and hang out with you. And tell me a little bit about the book that's coming. You have one also. We'll just jump past the other one since our time's short. Tell us a little bit about the one that's about, getting closer to birth.
I know, hopefully this month. And so I'll just say my last book was about the publishing industry. It was called Look Before You Leap, The Smart Author's Guide to Avoiding the Money Pit and Achieving Financial Success in Publishing. And then I started a little cohort with authors, and being around authors, Erica, you just inspire each other. And I was like, well, I'm inspiring them to write, so I just am going to write one too. And then I ended up writing a book. I repurposed a lot of content, but I love the way it's packaged. It's called Make Nutrition Fun. And it's all about ending food fights in the family and finding family peace. And there's a lot of storytelling and practical advice.
You've obviously been at my house at dinner.
Everybody's house, right?
I have a vegan. I have a boy that only really likes meat, and my daughter only really likes salads. But my vegan. She doesn't like salads. And so we have the most interesting time at the dinner table, I have to tell you.
Well, I'm going to send you a copy of the book as soon as it's ready. I'm so excited to share it.
Thank you for coming. I'd like everyone to go over to makeeverythingfun.com. And Kathryn, how else can we find you? And pronounce your name for us correctly, just in case.
Oh, sure, Erica. So it's Kathryn Kemp Guylay, and makeeverythingfun.com is a great place to reach me. What I'll do is I'll put up a special gift for listeners. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put up a calendar with activities, recipes, and activities for 30 days for fun, and I'll put it at makeeverythingfun.com/happy publishing.
Oh, you're the sweetest being. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll make sure that my listeners get that link. And go out and have a wonderful day, everyone. That was so inspirational. And thanks for coming, Kathryn.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.